The next question. My name is Muhammad Umair. I am from Islamabad, Pakistan. My suggestion is that there should be a Peace TV channel in Spanish language which aims to preach the religion of Islam, because Spanish is spoken in many South American countries. My question is that you have Peace TV channels in different languages like Bengali, Urdu, Chinese and English language. But why there is no Peace TV channel in Spanish language? This is a very important question posed by Muhammad Umair. He's asking the question that why don't you have Peace TV in Spanish? You have in English, Urdu, Bangla, Chinese. Why don't you have in Spanish language, which is spoken by many countries from the South America? Before I answer this question, it was a desire of mine, an objective, to have Peace TV in the 10 major languages of the world. Before I come to this reply to this question, let us see the statistics that which are the 10 most widely spoken languages in the world. When you read the surveys, there are many surveys talking about the number of people speaking different languages, their own methodology. But amongst them, the one which I feel is more close and authentic is from the Babel magazine, and they reproduced the statistic done by Ethnologue. And their survey is more authentic. And here you'll find two different types of statistics. One, the top 10 languages spoken by native speakers. Native means their mother tongue. And the second list is 10 top languages spoken by the people. It may be the native language, it may be the second language, whatever it is. So when we read the first list of the top 10 languages spoken by native speakers, number 1 is Chinese. And it's not easy to give statistics because many a times it's difficult. For example, when we speak about Arabic, there are different dialects. The person speaking in Morocco is a different Arabic as compared to person in Oman. The pronunciation differs. The major Arabic may be same, but there's difference. Do we count them as one language or different languages? Like Chinese is a group of languages. Mandarin is the main. How do you do? So the surveys differ. English language, the English differs from American English and UK English. English from the Indian speaking is different. The Pakistani speaking is different. The major is the same, but the pronunciation may differ. There may be certain differences, but we take them as one language. So number 1, the largest spoken language as a native speaker, if you take all Chinese as a whole, it becomes Chinese 1.3 billion. Or if you take only Mandarin, which is the largest spoken Chinese language, so it's 900 million. Both, whether you take all Chinese together, it's number 1, or whether you take only Mandarin, 900 million, yet undoubtedly Chinese is far superior as a native speaking language. It is number 1, far ahead of all the other languages. Number 2 is Spanish. 485 million people, Spanish is their native language. Spanish is their mother tongue. Chinese is number 1, 1.3 billion. Only Mandarin alone is 900 million. Spanish is 485 million. Number 3 is English, 373 million. Only 373 million people in the world, their native language, their first language is English language. 4th is Arabic, 362 million. That means the native language, Arabic and English are quite close. Hardly there is a difference of only 12 million. 12 million means hardly 2-3% difference or 4% difference. That's it. So Arabic, as native Arabic speaker all over the world, is 362 million. 5th is Hindi, 344 million. Mainly in India, 344 million. 6th is Bengali, which is 273 million. 234 million. As native speaker, it's 234 million. The sixth language after Hindi is Bengali, is 234 million, mainly in West Bengal and India and Bangladesh. These two places where 234 million people speak Bengali as their first language, as their native language. Number 7 would be Portuguese, 332 million. Number 8 would be Russian, 154 million. Number 9 would be Japanese, 125 million. And Japanese is a concentrated language. Geographically, it's concentrated. Majority of the people who speak Japanese live in Japan. The Japanese population is 125 million and the people speaking Japanese is 125 million. Hardly you'll find some groups of Japanese, maybe in Brazil, other parts, but most of the Japanese people, most of the people who speak Japanese, they live in Japan. And the 10th largest language as a native language, as first language, it is Western Punjabi. Ladan, Western Punjabi, where 101 million people speak Punjabi. It's not all, Punjabi is big, Eastern, Western. So when the partition took place, when the Britishers left, they divided the Indian subcontinent. So the Western Punjab is a macro language in Pakistan. And Eastern Punjab is part of India. So if you join both, there are much more there. But only talking about Western Punjabi is Ladan, the language. It's 101 million. So these are the top 10 languages in the world as a native speaker. That is the first language. Let's now analyze which are the top 10 languages as first and second language put together. That means if a person can speak that language, whether it's the first language or second language, the top language would be English. 1.452 billion, 1,452 million people in the world. About 18% of the people in the world, they speak English, whether as the first language or second language. Number 2 is if you take Mandarin alone, it was 900 million, but as first and second language, it is 1.119 billion. With 1,119 million people, they speak Mandarin. Chinese, all the Chinese language put together as a whole, as I mentioned, as the first language is 1.3 billion, second language put together maybe 1.4 billion. But if you take only Mandarin, it is 1.119 billion, number 2. The third largest spoken language as first or second language, it is Hindi, 602 million. The fourth is Spanish, 559 million. And the sixth is Arabic. If you take only the standard Arabic, it's about 274 million. But if you take Arabic as a whole, native it's 362 million. Other put together may be close to 400 million. The survey doesn't say that. But I feel it's close to 400 million. But only standard Arabic, because there are many non-Arabs who also know Arabic, then that would be 274 million. In both cases, it is number 5, the 5th largest spoken language. The 6th is Bengali. It is 274 million. And when we started Bangla channel, it was number 6. Now French is somewhere close to it. This survey says 6th is French, 274 million. Bengali is 273 million. But it's a close match. So practically you can put both Bengali and French as 6th largest language. But in this list, 6th is French, 274 million. Bengali language is 273 million, it is 6th. Sorry, they say 6th is French, 274 million, and Bengali 7th, 273 million. What both put together, I would put both as number 6th largest language. Then the 8th language, it is Russian. 259 million people speak Russian. That is the 8th largest spoken language. And 9th is Portuguese, again 258 million. And the 10th is Urdu, 231 million. So when we started the satellite channel, when we decided to open a satellite channel, it was in 2005 we decided. But natural, the language which I speak the best and understand the best and write the best and read the best, it's English. Though English is not my mother tongue. But if you mean mother tongue is the language in which you can speak the best, think the best, write the best, then English is my mother tongue. But technically, because my parents, their mother tongue is also not English, I cannot call English as my mother tongue. But practically it is, but technically it's not. So that's the reason the first channel we started was in English language. We started the production in 2005 and at that time, there were hardly any English channel. I think there was only one that I know of. That was Islam channel, localized in UK and Europe, that's it. It was Urdu channel, then they converted to English. And Huda TV and Peace TV decided to launch in the same year, 2005. So they started the telecast in October 2005. We started the test run in October 2005. And the major launch we did with the debate with Shishi Ravi Shankar on the 26th of January 2006. At that time, there were no Islamic channels in English. Only heard of Islam channel. Then Huda and Peace TV launched at the same time, started at the same time. But technically the cycle, they started a couple of months before. In October 2005, it started in January 2006. Our desire, and why? Because if we count as first two languages, English is 1.452 billion. But if you count as first three languages, those people who understand English, the number will be bigger. For speaking, you have to be very fluent. Understanding, you can understand and yet not speak. So if you count the number of people who understand English, besides speaking or can understand English, or you say first language, second language, third and fourth language put together, then English is against number one, it will cross more than 2 billion. This statistics talks about first and second language only. First language, there were only 373 million. As first two language put together, 1.452 billion. That means it is nearly 4 times more. 373 million is 25.7% of 1.452 billion. So if you round it off to 25%, that means people who speak the second language is 3 times more than people who speak first language in English. That is the reason from position number 4, the English language jumps to position number 1. In native language, it's the 4th largest language. But as a first two languages, it is number 1 in the world, 1.452. And if you count as first, second and third language, or people who can only understand, it goes to more than 2 billion. So that is the reason we first started Peace TV in English in 2006, January. Then about 3 years later, in June 2009, we started a second channel, Peace TV Urdu. Now what you have to understand that in the top 10 languages, I quoted Hindi was number 3 in the world, 602 million. And Urdu was number 10, 231 million. It has a close tie with Indonesian language. Indonesian also number 10 or 11, approximately 230 million. So it's close. But Hindi and Urdu are very close. The dialect is the same. More than 90% is the same. Only in Lugha Fusa, in Fasi Urdu, or a very high level Hindi, the words may differ. But general masses, Hindi Urdu is the same. The script differs. The script differs, but the language, the oral speech is somewhat same. So number 3, when they say 602 million Hindi, if you add Urdu to it, because dialect is the same, it would be 833 million. But say more than 800, some may be knowing both together, Hindi and Urdu. More than 800 million. So that is the reason the second channel that we started, Peace TV, we preferred in Urdu. Urdu and Hindi put together, it's known as Hindustani. The reason we felt that Arabic was not required is because there were many umpteen number of Arabic channels. At that time, a few years back, already more than 50 Arabic channels. Today, if you add the Arabic channels, those different Arabic Islamic channels, including the one on which the Quran is recited, I'm surely there will be more than 75 to 100 Arabic channels in the world. English, there's only one. Then Huda TV and Peace TV came, it became 3. And later on, we have another English channel. But Islam channel was localized in England and Europe. Huda TV localized in Middle East and Europe and Africa. Peace TV, so one more channel which is localized in USA, it is Guide Us TV. But this TV is localized only in US. Whereas Peace TV English, it was telecast on 15 satellites in the world. It has the highest viewership, and at that time we paid for 7 or 8 satellites, and the remaining 7 they were complementary because of the popularity. So we were on Intelsat 20, then we went on Arabsat, we were on Asiasat, then these were the main, then even in UK we were on B Sky B, and we were there in America in the cable TV. So all put together, if you count Hindi and Urdu put together, there will be more than 800 million. That is the reason second language we chose 3 years later after the launch of the Peace TV English was Peace TV Urdu in 2009. And later on, in the language that was number 3 was Urdu, and we launched the second channel in Urdu. And we had plans that inshallah, if Allah wills, every 3 years we launch a channel. So our next target was Chinese. But before Chinese, we launched, there was a businessman from Bangladesh and a group of businessmen, they came and they requested, why don't you start in Bengali? And we took it, though I don't know Bengali as a language, but we coordinated with the directors, etc. And we launched Peace TV Bangla in 2011. And this channel that we launched, it had 24/7 only Urdu. The first one was converted only in English. 24/7 only in English. That is the first channel in English, the second Urdu. The third, we launched the Bangla in 2011. And we went ahead. And then we launched the Peace TV Chinese in 2015. So out of the top 6 languages of the world, we were covering 4 languages. Arabic not required because there are already more than 50 to 70 to 100 Arabic channels, where the Qiraat of the Quran. So we don't think it's a requirement. That's the reason the number 5th list is not there. We went in for English, then Urdu, then Chinese, though Chinese is not my language. And then we skipped the Arabic because it's already available in that language. And then our plan was Chinese, but we launched Bengali in 2011. Then we launched the Chinese in 2015. So we had plans of launching a new language every 3 years. And we had plans of launching the Spanish in 2018, but unfortunately, because of financial constraint, we know that there was a lot of changes in the Middle East. And so in 2016 and 17, a lot of changes were there. And because of financial constraint, we could not launch Spanish. But I do agree with you that the next language that is important, if it has to be launched in any language, it should be Spanish. Because Spanish is the second largest language as a native language, which had 485 million. But as the first two languages, native and first language, then Spanish would be 559 million. It's the third largest. So we launched the English, the Urdu, the Bengali, and the Chinese. If there is a next channel that we should launch, it should be Spanish. So because of the financial constraint and the difficulty that we had, we did not. But natural, it differs on how many satellites are you on. Like Peace TV English, at the peak in 2014, 15, 16, it was on 15 satellites. We paid for 7, 8 came complimentary. Whether it be eVision, whether it be in different parts of the world. So, inshallah, because of the financial constraint and the other thing, if Allah wills, inshallah, I do agree with you that the next language to start among the top 10 would be Spanish. And then after Spanish, Urdu is not required because Urdu already there are 50 to 100 satellite channels, Islamic channels in Urdu. So I would do agree with you that it should be Spanish. And then the requirement will be French. So pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may He be successful in launching, if not in main language, at least in the top 10 languages of the world, the Peace TV. And pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that may He make Peace TV instrumental in the fulfillment of the hadith that inshallah Islam will enter every home.